Welcome to our Orange Power podcast. Casey Kendrick along with Robyne Bostick, who is the Director of Player Development for Oklahoma State Women's Basketball, and our first time to have her on this show. And Coach, it is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
You know, it's going to be fun because I've said this about you. In fact, it's funny. We had a couple of retakes to even start just a moment ago. I've talked to people like Ryan Cameron or others, and I've always said this. I said, you know, she seems like such a neat lady. She's got a deep perspective on things, but I don't hear her say a whole lot. So I really don't know that I can say I really know her. But so you're kind of a reserved person, but when you talk, you usually have a lot of really good things to say. So tell me about your personality and coaching and how that kind of intertwines.
You know, I think I am a little bit more of a reserved kind of personality. I like to observe and take things in and really think about things before I reply or respond or contribute with my opinion.
Yeah, I mean you're a processor. I mean you can when I see you operate, and again I'm not that, no, people will not say I'm reserved, but I do like to observe and watch how things flow and how things go. And when you have something to, even during the course of a ball game, I mean, you're going to say what you need to say, but I see you taking it all in, and I just kind of see you processing all of that. So is that kind of how you go about your role on the sideline?
Yes, I think it is. For the most part, with my position, I do like to kind of just take things in and look for different perspectives on things, because I think we do have a great staff, obviously, and everybody has a good opinion. So I like to think about things maybe in a little bit of a different way than what others on the staff are saying, just so that JC isn't always hearing the same things from different people.
Yeah, because obviously it offers a different perspective that, again, if you're saying the same thing everybody else is that benefiting? But when you're encompassing more things and maybe looking at it a little differently, it could obviously help. So let's go back to the beginning. How did you, first off, where'd you start coaching?
I started coaching at James Madison University. So this is my 20th year.
Wow.
In coaching. My first year was at James Madison.
And went from there to?
Well, it's been quite a long journey. So I went from James Madison to Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt to the Air Force Academy,
wow,
Air Force to Princeton, and sometimes it takes me even a few minutes to kind of try to remember all the places. Air Force to Princeton, Princeton to Long Island, and then I got out of coaching for a few years.
Okay.
Got back into coaching at Northern Arizona University, and then was able and fortunate enough to hook up with JC at UMKC, and then that led me here to Oklahoma State.
Well, and again, we could unpackage a lot of things in those stops that you just mentioned, but that getting to UMKC with Coach, how did you guys connect? How did that happen?
I didn't know JC at all before interviewing for the job at UMKC, and we had a mutual friend who knows JC and kind of knew what she was looking for somebody with a little bit of experience, looking for somebody maybe who had some head coaching experience. And I was coming off of a season where I was the interim head coach at Northern Arizona, and so had that kind of bench experience and could help her and help guide her as she was just moving over one seat. So it just ended up working out really well. And sometimes you go into those situations where you don't know the head coach at all, and it doesn't work out. And sometimes you're fortunate enough where it does work out, and it's just really worked out well.
Well, and Coach, just so people know, has been recruiting, and so we knew we were going to do this with you. And one of the things she said was, Robyne's been with me from day one. And so she really wanted us to kind of emphasize that. But let's go back. Okay, so a lot of interesting stops along the way. James Madison, by the way, is the team the Cowgirls beat in the WNIT championship the year of our tragedy. So James Madison is always a program that is going to resonate with me. But then, you went to a military academy, and the structure and the admiration we all have for those young people that are going to play ball, but then they're going to go serve their country, and then throw in the Ivy League. I mean, you have seen your stops have allowed you to, that's why you can bring more to the table than a lot of people. Those are some very interesting stops.
They are, for sure. I think being at those schools kind of gave me a different perspective of how those student athletes are able to balance just all the responsibilities that they have, whether it's the military responsibility, the academic responsibility and still committing time to their craft and still putting in the same hours on the basketball court as other student athletes that don't have those extra commitments.
Well, and again, so that you've seen it from so many different angles, which allows you to offer, again, a lot. And as you said, the interim head coaching. So and you said this, and I've talked to so many coaches over the years. It's only one seat from that associate head coach to the head coach. It's 16 inches. But boy, that's some drastic 16 inches, isn't it?
It sure is. I think the biggest thing is just understanding that all the responsibility falls on you as the head coach. And I think sometimes it's easy for assistant coaches to think, well, we should have done this, we should have done that, and putting out those suggestions. But when the responsibility comes on you and you have to answer to it at the end of the game or the end of the season or whatever it is, that is just much more of a load mentally, I think, as you kind of get ready for the season and go through the season.
When you're taking all of that into perspective, into account, and again, in 29 years, I've seen a lot of assistant coaches, I've seen a lot of head coaches, but a lot of assistant coaches, seen a lot of styles. What makes a good assistant coach?
I think a good assistant coach and a really good, even great assistant coach is somebody who really helps the head coach with what they need to do. And so an assistant coach who can take things off of the head coach's plate, who maybe can deal with some issues before they become big issues and kind of take care of those things before they get to the head coach, where the head coach has to spend a lot of time worrying about it or dealing with it. An assistant coach who comes in and does their job, who understands what their job is, whether it's player development, whether it's recruiting, scouting, whatever that thing is, just doing that job to the best of their ability to make things easier for the head coach, so the head coach doesn't have to worry about micromanaging and making sure that things are getting done.
Well, and so in essence, heading off a problem before it becomes a bigger problem. How good's your instinct there? Are you? I mean, again, because you do observe, and I've seen you observe. I've seen how you operate. Are you able to go, oh, I can see that one coming down the line right now. I need to kind of go help cut that one off, or help another assistant coach. Hey, this is maybe more your angle. This is what I'm seeing. It's kind of what I'm hearing. Are you pretty instinctual in that way?
I feel like I am, just kind of getting a good pulse on some of our players and some of the things that they're going through and figuring out what needs to be taken care of and maybe what needs to be brought to JC. And sometimes it's a matter of, okay, taking care of an issue and then saying to her, okay, this was going on and this is what we did about it. So it's taken care of, but I just wanted to make you aware of it. And so a lot of it is some of that as well.
And then the other side of that, you having been with Coach Hoyt for so long, that again, you've got a lot of newcomers from the assistant standpoint, exactly what you just said. Okay, I'm going to go take care of it. And then there are times when Coach doesn't need to know because it's not an issue and we took care of it and we dealt with it. Then there are times when you go, okay, no, we dealt with it, but she certainly needs to know this is going on. You have probably the best feel on staff of when to take it to Coach and when to go, no, she doesn't need any more right now. We got this taken care of. So again, that's a place where I think you could obviously be able to help a lot.
Exactly, and having been with JC now, this is year 7, so just understanding what's important to her and what things she wants to know about and what things she doesn't want to know about, and some of those little things that can pop up throughout the course of a season she doesn't really need to know about. But if it's something that could snowball into a major issue or a bigger issue within the team, then for sure that's something that she needs to know.
I've always loved the behind the scenes stuff as much as I almost love the game. So I find this sort of thing fascinating, and it's awesome that you've been able to assume these roles and can help in so many ways. With all the things you've seen, let me just bring it to one thing with this team. Have you ever seen the amount of adversity from a player, roster, injury, availability, whatever you want to call it? This year's been so incredible. Have you ever seen that before?
I haven't, and like I said, I've been coaching a long time, and I've never experienced anything like this year. Obviously, during different seasons, you're going to have maybe kids get injured, a season-ending injury or whatever it is, and this year just has been different, with the amount of injuries and turnover and whatnot. Just the adversity that we've had has been a very unique year, and the only year in my 20 years that has been like this.
It's obviously been a very interesting challenge, that's for sure. We still got some games left, and hopefully we can get past a whole lot of that. Are you a reader?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. What's your favorite basketball book?
Let's see. There was one by Alexander Wolf, probably 20 years ago, and I can't think of the name of it right now. But it's about, he traveled the world and went to maybe 50 different countries in Asia, and just really immersed himself in finding out what the basketball culture was like in each of those different countries. And I love to travel, and so I thought that was a really interesting book.
You are, again, I think of you, a perspective, a thinker. I think you as intellectual.
I don't know about that. I don't know. You're giving me a lot of credit.
Well, so would you, I mean, with all the things you have seen, again, you have seen angles from all over the place. Would you ever write a book?
It's popped into my head occasionally.
As it should.
Because I have traveled a lot. I've coached at a few different places. One thing that, I mentioned that I took this break from coaching and did something that I don't know that any other college coach has done, and I went and worked in Iraq as a contractor for a couple of years.
Wow.
And so that gives me kind of a different perspective on things as well.
Yeah.
So I do love to learn, and I think I do have a lot of unique experiences that I don't know if anybody would be interested in reading about them, but I keep track of them just for my own personal reflection.
Well, I will tell you this, we're out of time here, but to get you back and talk about that time frame would also be very incredible, so that's good stuff. Coach, it truly is a pleasure to have you with us here. Appreciate the time. Best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's going to do it for us. For Coach Robyne Bostick, I'm Casey Kendrick. We'll see you guys next time on the Orange Power Podcast.